Welcome to part two of the Middle Arm Road ride. Welcome back those who are returning viewers, and if you're a first time viewer, again welcome. I hope you enjoyed, those who have watched the first clip, I hope you enjoyed that one, and for those for whom this is a new experience, I hope you enjoy this one and you'll go back and watch the first part, and you will stay with me and watch the other parts that complete this ride. At the end of the last one, I was talking about changes of seasons and so on, and saying how I thought people enjoyed spring and autumn and so on. I thought what I would do this time is talk about motorcycle safety and social media, and you'll probably wonder how those two things are connected, but we'll get to them. I'll make the connection. There's been a lot of talk in the news of late about social media of one sort or the other, in particular Facebook and Instagram. Now, I have a Facebook page that I use, and I don't use Instagram, and I don't use other social media with the exception of YouTube. I'm not sure if you can call that social media, but there's been a lot of news and commentary and so on about about the influence that social media has on the mental health of especially young children, and particularly young girls who are affected by comments made on their Instagram feeds and so on. Now, I acknowledge all that, and I'm not trying to trivialise it in any way, but I do want to say that I think that there are some benefits in social media. For example, there are people who have similar interests who are on different parts of the planet or even different parts of their own country that can't ever meet, but can share that interest. There are people who are interested in, I guess there are people outside of Goulburn and outside of where I live who are interested in running and look at my running videos. And, for example, there are people on Facebook who are interested in things that I'm interested in and share their photographs and so on, and I comment on them, and I don't know them, and I don't sometimes even live in the same country as them, but I enjoy their photography and I comment on it. And I think that that's a good thing about social media. The problem is, of course, those people who abuse that by making nasty comments about people or about their work and so on. But I see that it does have some benefits. And I think that there's a responsibility on all of the people who use it to use it well and to use it wisely. And I think there's a responsibility on adults and parents in particular to police their children's use of social media. Now, just interrupting for a moment, I've just gone past a signpost that says Goulburn 16 kilometres and Middle Arm, I think it says 9 kilometres, and I've hit a dirt section, and the dirt section goes on for quite a long way here. So I'll come back and talk about dirt roads a little while later, but I want to continue this thread of talking about social media and motorcycling. Now, for those who have Facebook, you know that there are things that you're interested in, and Facebook, with its magic algorithm, feeds you things that you're interested in. And for example, I'm interested in motorcycling, and I follow a particular page in motorcycling, and so I frequently get photos from the bloke who hosts that page about unusual motorcycles that he's photographed or whatever. And of course, because I'm interested in motorcycles, I get other things that are motorcycle related. Sometimes people are selling motorcycle accessories or clothing, things like that. And then there are the clips, and the clips are what I want to talk about and the connection between that and social media. I get these clips where I see people riding, similar to what I'm doing now, and I'm happy to see those clips. I'm happy to see other people doing things like I'm doing here and just going out on a ride with a camera attached and showing the scenery. But I also get these clips where I see sometimes an individual and sometimes a pack of people pulling their bikes up pulling the front wheel up so that they're doing a wheelie. And in some cases, I've even seen them almost perpendicular to the road. So they've almost got the bike at right angles to the road, and they're solely on the back wheel. And then they're standing on the saddle and they're dancing about on the saddle and kicking their legs out to the side and putting their legs on their feet on the passenger pillion pegs and doing all sorts of crazy stuff like that. And I see them doing these things sometimes, and often the clips are on highways or public roads. I see them doing them where they're crossing the double either yellow or white lines, and I see them doing them in situations that I consider to be dangerous. Now, I have also, to be honest, seen people doing them on tracks, and I've seen people doing enclosed car parks or places like that where there's still danger, but the danger is significantly reduced. And I also know that there are people who do this kind of thing for a living. In other words, they go to a stadium somewhere, people buy tickets to see them do it, and they do this stunt stuff, all sorts of crazy stuff with their motorcycles, but they're in a controlled environment. The people riding the bike and the support team have done everything they can to minimise the danger, and whilst you can't exclude every possibility, you can't guard against every potential accident, they've done as much as they can to guard against it. What I'm talking about are these people that I see doing wheelies and then dancing about on the saddles, and they're on a public road, they're on a multi-lane road, and on top of that, they're wearing a helmet and practically no other safety gear, no gloves, sometimes a t-shirt and shorts or jeans, and just joggers. And I consider all of that to be extremely dangerous. And I made some comments on one video that I saw to the effect of saying that I didn't ever want to ride in a pack with people who did that. I didn't ever want to be on the road with people who did that kind of thing. And of course, I got the mixture of responses. There were people who agreed with me and said, yes, I'm of the same view, or they made comments about how dangerous and stupid it was. And then there were the people who said derogatory things about me. And I'm not whinging about their derogatory comments because I'm thick-skinned and I don't know them from a bar of soap, so I don't care what they think. But I care that they take this cavalier attitude. I tried to make the point in my comment that, the stunt in itself is inherently dangerous. Motorcycling is an inherently dangerous activity. You think of the contact patches that you've got in your front and your back wheel of the road, and you've got nothing else between you and the road. It's like you're in a car where you've got a ton of plastic and steel around. You've got nothing between you and the road. If you go down, you're going to have an accident. And even with the best protective gear and helmets and gloves and so on, you're still going to come off second best. But I tried to explain my comments in terms of saying I don't want to be on the road with people who do that, because if I'm riding in a pack with a group of people and somebody does that, it has a flow-on effect to everybody else in the pack. Suddenly the person in front of you is doing a wheelie and you're startled. And then you react in a way, you go, oh, cool, blimey, what the hell was that, or something like that. What are you doing? And you react to that. And your reaction could lead to you having an accident, or could lead to the person themselves having an accident because they're then startled by the way you've reacted and so on. So there's that point to it for one consideration. But the second consideration is, in one of these clips, I saw this bloke doing this, standing up on the saddle, dancing about, kicking his legs out to the side and so on. He crossed the double yellow lines. Now, clearly when there are double yellow lines, it's a dangerous part of the road. It's a part of the road where you're not meant to overtake, and you're meant to stay on your own side of the road in the first place. But this guy's gone on the other side of the road, and he's dancing about in his saddle and flicking his legs out and feeling all clever and smug about how good he is. But if there's a driver coming in a car the other way, he's not expecting to, or he or she, the driver's not expecting to see someone going in the opposite direction on their side of the road in the first instance. So their reaction is likely to be someone who's at the very least startled. And then how they react will have an impact on what they do with their car next, and will have an impact on what happens to the person in the motorcycle. Bearing in mind the person on the motorcycle is now on the back wheel, so they have no steering control, they have no way of changing direction other than leaning their body. And if they get that wrong, the bike's going to go down, and they're going to go down with the bike on top of them. So imagine a scenario where a person's in their car and they've got their windows round up and they've got the music playing, they've got the cruise control on, they're just thinking about getting to wherever they're going, and suddenly they come around a blind corner, which has a double yellow line on it. So they know there shouldn't be any traffic coming the other way to overtake or anything else, but suddenly they see a bloke or a person on a motorcycle doing a wheelie coming towards them. Their reaction is going to be one of being at the very least startled and alarmed. And what they do next is going to have a huge impact on how this situation turns out. If they react well enough and stop their car and whatever, then perhaps it won't come out too badly. If they panic and pull and then hit the wrong pedal, the accelerator, instead of the brake or clutch to slow the thing down, then they could end up ploughing headfirst into the motorcyclist who's now up on one wheel, and it can only end badly. So that's my thoughts about those kind of things, and I acknowledge, okay, that the people who do these things get a thrill out of doing it, and I guess there is a certain level of skill associated with being able to do that with a bike. I must admit that one of the people I saw doing it was pulling a 350 pound, 400 pound bike similar to mine. So it was no mean feat for him to do it, but it just seemed to be a ridiculous thing to be doing on a main road. And I take the view that if I'm making motorcycle videos, I'm making because I want other people to watch them. If I'm making this video, I'm doing it, well, in part for myself. When I post it onto Facebook or I post it onto YouTube or whatever, I do it because I want somebody to watch it. And although I'm not actually on camera, mostly in my videos I talk about at some point the safety gear that I'm wearing. And so I'm wearing a helmet, full face helmet, I'm wearing a dry as a bone jacket, a dry rider jacket, and a dry rider pants and gloves and boots. And so I try to present myself not as a role model, but I try to ride safely, and I try to act in a way that doesn't give people, other viewers, and especially young, impressionable riders who are just starting out their riding and learning to ride, that I'm some sort of reckless tearaway person that does stupid things on a bike, and it's okay to do those sort of stupid things. So I wanted to just sort of talk about that and get it off my chest a little bit, because it's a thing that's been bugging me for a while, and I've been seeing these videos. And okay, what I did after I'd seen this video and made these comments and then got a few caustic comments back to myself, I blocked that site so I would not get any more videos from that particular site. But of course, once you've commented on one of those videos and then somebody comments on your comment, Facebook tells you that somebody's commented on it, so it comes back, and as soon as you see that sort of notification and it says, Joe Blogs has commented on your comment, you don't know which of the 50 comments you've made that day it is, so you open it and you read it. And the Facebook algorithm wants to keep feeding you stuff and wants you to keep coming back. And I suppose you could be resistant to that, but I thought, okay, if I just block this thing, I won't get any more of it. But then instead of that happening, they found another site that does similar things that sends them to me. And so I wanted to just talk about that and say what I thought about it. And I'm not here to be the safety police, and I'm not here to tell other people how to live their lives and all that sort of stuff. But I think I might have said this in one of my other videos. A nurse at the local hospital here once told me that nurses and doctors generally see motorcyclists as organ donors on wheels. And I took the view that, well, I'm happy to donate my organs when I no longer need them, but I hope that the reason I no longer need them is from natural causes rather than from stupidity, either caused by myself doing something dumb or somebody else on a bike doing something dumb and I'm around them and it ends up in a disaster of some sort. So anyway, enough of that. I said I would talk about dirt roads. In a previous video, I took a trip out to Braidwood, and then I took the road from Braidwood through to Nerriga, and there was a section of that, probably about 3-4 kilometres long, that was unsealed. And I was very scathing about the state of that road, because the government at the time had promised 5 years ago that they would seal this road, and they still hadn't. This road is unsealed. I imagine that where the unsealing section is somewhere between the border of two local councils, but I'm not sure because there are no signs anywhere to say this, and I'm not exactly sure how long the unsealed section is. I'd say at least 10 kilometres, but it may not be that long. But this section, my bike is certainly not the sort of bike you would take on a dirt road. It's a cruiser style bike. So it's certainly not the sort of bike for this road. And I didn't know there was this unsealed section on the road. And looking at maps, there's no way to see that there are unsealed sections on this road. So I didn't know till I got to that dirt section that it was dirt. And there's no indication of how long it is. So you roll the dice and say, well, will I just go a little while and see how far it is? Okay, I'll go a little further, or will I go back now? Well, I just took the chance and said, well, I'll keep going till I get to the end of this dirt section and see how long it goes for. What it does mean, of course, is you have to adjust your speed, and at some points along here I probably wasn't doing more than about 50 kilometres. But having said that, the road surface, it might have been graded recently or something like that, because it didn't have a lot of loose gravel on it. The surface was fairly firm. I don't know if you can see this in the video. or whether you can pick it up in the video. And there weren't lots of potholes and corrugations and things like that. The suspension wasn't bouncing about madly, as you can see in the footage here as I'm riding. But my bike is certainly not the sort of bike you would take on dirt roads. It's a bike that's meant for the open road. Meant to get out on the highway and put in sixth gear, which is the overdrive gear, and turn on the cruise control and just go where you want to go. But as dirt roads go, I'd say this one was certainly much better than the Nerriga Road, the section of the Nerriga Road which was unsealed. Much safer, and I felt much safer. I didn't have the feeling that the bike was going to fall coming out from underneath me at any particular point along the road. Mind you, I didn't feel as if I was going to tear along at 100 kilometres an hour either. So if you're thinking of taking this ride, you get to the point where there's a signpost that says Goulburn 16 kilometres, and from there onwards for, I'm going to say, at least 10, maybe more kilometres, the road is dirt. So make sure you've got the right sort of bike for it, or that you at least adjust your riding style to accommodate the state of the road. This area here seems to be a little drier than the area further back where I said it was much greener. I was talking about how lush and green it was because of the spring rains and the spring weather. But this area here seems to be a little drier. Not just the road itself, but the pastures on either side of the roads also seem to be a little drier as well. Well, the video's about to end, probably in the next 30 seconds or so. So I'll say thank you once again for watching and listening. If you have any feedback, please feel free to enter it, and I'll respond if I can. I'll say goodbye for now, and I will talk to you when I'm uploading clip 3. So thank you for watching, and thank you for being part of the ride experience.